there's still people who don't believe in gold, right? Like people believe in stuffing cash in the mattress. It's like, wow, not even gold.
So to that point, so we've done a total 180. So what my parents didn't teach me about money, I'm compensating now with my kids, just as you guys are.
I wanted to get there. What are you teaching your kids about money, investing, life?
Invest in gold. So she was 14 when she bought her first gold. So we always teach kind of the GIST method. The GIST method is something that I learned through one of the real estate investing membership groups that I was a part of. We've all been a part of that group, and they had a weekend seminar that taught children about money. So they had a segment for the parents, and then they had a segment for the kids. The kids were in their own room, and the biggest takeaway was the GISS, GISS. So you have a certain proportion of your money goes to giving, certain proportion goes to investing, certain proportion to saving, and certain proportion to spending. And that was a real eye-opener for me, because I was learning alongside my young child at the time, and I taught Riley to basically, my job was, okay, here's the fundamentals, now let's put it into practice. And it takes effort. It takes effort to stay on top of your children, to say, okay, you got $200 for your birthday and for Christmas, put it in your GIST jars, and let's see how much money you have accumulated for an investment. And then she would come up and say, Mom, I have like $80. What am I going to do? I can't buy a house. I can't, I can't do anything with this money. So we started researching online, and gold came up. So she has been buying, tiny little plates of gold with her $120, $180. Now she's up to $660 that she's going to spend on gold.
Nice.
And this is teaching her some of the basic fundamentals. And in the background, she's hearing all about real estate and equity, and cash flow. And she's on the receiving end from all of the wonderful things that's buying our family. The opportunities to travel, the cars that we find fun.
Cars? That's just one.
Yeah. So she's on the receiving end. So she's actually tangibly experiencing what it took to get there, and she's participating in it to her best ability. So that's what I'm really focused on teaching. Passing on this knowledge to my child has been probably the most beneficial reward of this entire journey over the past 11 years.
Yeah.
And then Jillian, Monica, you guys teach your kids different. we had, some of your kids are older than Monica's.
I think we all have kids of all different ages. My son actually came with the cutest note last week, and it was written on it. I was on a call, and it said, "At school they're teaching us financial literacy, but I know everything because you taught me."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's so cute." So he's like the little expert. And this is the kid who's 11 who knew the cost of Bitcoin. I never told him that. So I stay out of it entirely. They live it. They see Vaughn and I living our best lives. And they're like, wow, like who else has two parents that are home all the time, able to be at every single basketball game, every single gymnastics comp, dance thing. They probably wish we'd probably go away more, but we're there. And the fact that we're present really kind of instills in their mind, like, wow, I'm going to do something different rather than getting a job. So our oldest is 17. He's had his own business for 3 or 4 years now, reselling basketball shoes. I never told him to do it. I totally stay out of it.
That's big business now too.
He just reselling. We give him drives and we'll do whatever, but he finds it. He's negotiating, he's doing whatever.
How old?
He's 17. He started this when he was about 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he just always has money and he does his own stuff. And then sometimes he's short a bit. And he asked my 11-year-old for a loan, who hit him up and charged him 30% interest. And I don't know where he learned that, but he's like a hard money lender. So it was just, and I don't have anything to do with the conversations. Another one went to school and bought all these candies off Amazon and went to school and started selling the candies for 25 cents. But then that wasn't good enough. He sold them for 50 cents. That wasn't good enough. He then says, hey, you have a choice. You could buy this candy for 50 cents, or you could buy the option to win the candy for 25 cents, and then I'll rock, paper, scissors you. So I said,
how old's this kid?
He was about maybe 11 or 12 when he was doing that. I said, you're either going to go to jail or you're going to be really, really rich. So he was running like an illicit gambling ring. And so it's just, like I say, we stay out of it. We don't have anything to do with it. And our daughter, her finger's pretty much on the pulse as well. So I think when they just live it, and when they were younger, they see like all the properties, they see me on the computer all the time. And like someone, are we moving? If we're moving every time I'm on MLS, we'd be moving like every single day. And so I think it just goes osmosis with them. And I did get them some silver coins just to continue that immersion, continue the conversations, not for it to be worth anything, but just to show them it's a 2020 silver coin. This was an epic year. Is this going to be like worth $1 zillion one day? Probably not, but it's just a commemorative thing, and investing in resources can be lucrative. So I love it, and I'm hoping that they'll be influenced. I think learning through osmosis is a lot like you said. When I grew up, my parents always had these second homes and third homes or whatever. I loved it. The apron strings were cut. I wanted to afford it, could not. I better start doing something different. So I think that was the biggest lesson they've ever taught me.
Mm-hmm. And again, we call investing in real estate, but to me, this is small business.
It's just investing. It's just living, like creating your best life. Just being in control of your resources. The day the freedom comes is when the ego is removed. When you don't need to be a hot shot running around, living your life, other people watching you. When you have that freedom that you achieve in your own terms, and that's all everyone really wants. You don't have anything to prove to anyone. You just want to be there and have that control and just live your best life.
Jillian, are you teaching your kids about money? Because you have a lot of them.
Yeah, well, Monica and I both have 4
You
kids.
have 4 too?
Yeah. There's 10 amongst us.
There's 10 amongst the 3 of us. Again, like Monica and Rachel were saying too, I think a lot of what they are learning about money is from watching what we've done. I mean,
But you do everything.
We've done, we talk a lot about what we're they saw us grow a big business and sell a big business, and they have been hearing about rental properties forever and ever. And my older son, who's 20, invested in cryptocurrency with me last summer. Yeah. And it's been a fascinating journey for that, because, he got in pretty early and so made a really amazing return for a 20-year-old, like lots and lots of money.
Oh boy, fast money. Young and fast money.
And so, it was some really good conversations happened with that, because after his return said, I don't know, I think he 8 times his money or something like that. And I said, it's not going to go up forever,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I said, you need to think long and hard about what is going to be more painful for you. Whether it will be more painful if you sell some now, if you take some profit, because no one ever goes poor from taking profits, and you miss an upside, or if you don't sell and it drops and then you lose this wealth you thought you had and it goes down by this big significant number. And I said, you should sit with that for a bit and see how and noodle that and see how it feels like that you're going to miss out on this more. And he'd already gained a lot, missing out on more, or like this wealth vanishing. He goes, I got it. He's like, I'm cool. I'm like, I'm glad you're really cool. So I knew what I wanted to do. Like, I always believe in taking profits off the table when you've got some. So I took profits, and he did not. And he has been riding the price down and down and down. Now it's going to go back. It will go back up again eventually, but he might have to wait a while for it. And he's like, Mom, the money I lost, like the amount of money I lost, like that would have been a whole grad school.
Someone's annual income in Canada.
Choice. It was his experience.
But, and so he was really lamenting, like he was suffering with this lost money. First of all, I haven't lost any money because you never actually had that money. And I said, but these are the life experiences that you need to carry forward. So clearly. Yeah. But you don't actually know how you would have felt had you sold when it was way higher and you'd missed some huge upside. But now you know the pain of not having sold when you could have done and not taking profits along the way. So you need to kind of carry that forward. And I think it'll be a really good lesson, for him. But he's kicking himself. He's like, oh, the things I could have done. I'm like, well, these are.
That will shape him. I
I
think
think
that shaping him,
and-
it's such a safe time for them to experiment too.
And I keep saying too, like these are not mistakes, right? This is just learning. You're 20. I mean, you haven't lost. First of all, you haven't lost any money. You haven't lost any of the money you put in. But yeah, and you're 20, so you have tons of time to make it back up and where you were before. But I think you'll remember. I think you'll remember the decision you made. So him and I are always talking about stuff that I'm investing in, what I'm doing, and he loves it too.
Mhm.
So
Pretty cool.
yeah.